Everybody, hope you're doing well today. Purpose of this video is to give you a short demo on HTML and CSS, maybe a touch of JavaScript. Basically, we are just doing a pretty simple web page. I'm going to assume that a lot of you have probably done this before, but if not, this might be a good starter to get you into things. Now, this is going to be one of the first chapters in the client-side web development book. There's lots of great examples on the web if you want to accomplish something in particular. I'm just going to kind of go over the basics and we'll go from there. So, for starters, I've got a delightful under construction page, a very 90s era type of GIF happening here. So, for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to do it on my own computer, again with a web page where it's just HTML or even JavaScript. You don't need a web server. When you actually need a web server, which is what we did in one of the other demos, the LAMP stack one, you need that to serve your content to other people, or if you need any server-side programming like Node.js or PHP or something like that. But for just rendering static web pages, you can actually just open them up in whatever browser your favorite is. Right now I'm using Chrome. You could use Firefox or Edge or whatever you like. Doesn't really matter these days. Used to matter a lot more several years back, but standardization is getting a little bit better. So what I'm actually doing here is I have VS Code open up. Now I use this on my own personal machine. I tend to like it quite a bit. I also just use Vi and Vim, as you've seen in other videos. But what I've got here is just a page called test.html. And I will upload the finished one later to Blackboard in the same area that you can find this video. And it just has an image tag to a random GIF that I found on Google. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, save my file, and if I refresh, nothing's here. That's good. 1 second. Sorry, it's a little dusty in here. Okay, so I have my test file. Now, what I want to be kind of covering here is the basics of HTML. So let's get this out of the way. First things first, with HTML, we have the idea of tags. Now, HTML is a markup language. It's not a programming language or a scripting language. It's literally tag-based. So the browser is going to interpret all these tags, and based on styling, it's going to place whatever it decides needs to be understood from your markup to the web. Kind of an obtuse explanation, we'll see. So the first thing we start out with, one of the reasons I kind of have been liking VS Code is it auto-completes things for you, is we have this HTML tag here. Now, one of the things with HTML is every tag needs a closing tag. It should have a closing tag, I should say. So this is going to define the fact that this is a HTML page. Now we could just say body, and I'm going to, it's not going to indent, say hello, CIS658. Okay, straightforward, standard, basic web page. And if I were to refresh my local page here, there's that text that I put in for you. Okay, now what's going on here? Our HTML tags defining that this is a HTML document. The body tag is going to define all of your content. So everything that you should be seeing on the web page should be inside the body tag. And we see it has an opening tag and a closing tag. And again, closing means it has a slash on there. All right. Now, if you were paying attention at the beginning, I had an image where it looked something like this. And I just had this already in my buffer. Basically, if I were to refresh this now, there's that again. And it doesn't look very pretty, right? So what's going on here, and why I'm kind of highlighting this right away, is this is an image tag with the source pointing at some other image on the internet, but there's no closing, there's no slash img, right? Well, that's right here. So that's this kind of slash right angle bracket. It's just a quick close. Now, these days you probably see just image and people ignore it. Technically, you should be doing this just for semantics sake, but this is kind of the nice shortcut that I like to use. Not necessary, but that's why we have that. But it didn't look pretty, right? There's nothing wrapping this hello tag. Now, we'll be getting into best practices and styling in other demos. I just kind of wanted to give you the overall example. I might put this in, say, a paragraph tag. And we see again, it's got an open and a close. I refresh now, looks the same, but it's now in its own area. And I could say, I'm going to copy and paste this. How's it going? And we're going to see it's got a nice little space happening here. Whereas if I took off the paragraph tags, it'd just be kind of all mushed together. One thing to note too, HTML just ignores white space. All right, so I'm just going to leave these in for now. Could change this to an H1 tag, meaning it's a header. No, it's bigger. It's got a heading style applied to it. We'll get to that later on as well. Point is, opening tag, closing tag, there are a ton of different tags for formatting your code. More than likely, it's going to be defined by regions or divs, which are basically creating blocks or areas in your code. We'll talk about data versus style versus content. All that's going to come up throughout the semester. But for now, we're just getting started, right? So here we have some basic stuff. Again, bodies are content. One of the other things that we will have is a head region. So this is where we define styles or we include JavaScript. Basically, this is going to make our page look pretty, or it's going to give us some sort of client-side functionality. JavaScript used to be a royal pain for web development. It's kind of taken over. If you're familiar with React or Node.js, you know that's all written in JavaScript. If you grew up on the web in the 90s and 2000s like I did, JavaScript was the worst thing in the world, and everybody hated it. And somehow it's become this major backend language. Anyway, if you're doing something just on the client side in JavaScript, you reference it in the header tag. So I would want to say make my page look pretty. So I'm going to define a style. And I could say my body has a background of, oh, let's go hot pink, the magic color. Refresh. Oops. Background. Getting P5JS mixed up in my head. There we go. Okay. Okay, cut that. All right, so let's say I want to change the background color of my web page. I've got a body designator in here. We'll get into what CSS and all the tags mean and all that. But I could just say background, pound FFOOFF. Let's do the magic pink color, which if you've done any graphics work, you know this is a very special color. But now it's pink. I could change it to royal blue. Now, oops, forgot we don't need quotes in here. It's royal blue. Or I could change it to green. Okay. Basically, what we're doing here is we're defining how things look. So let's get rid of this background. Background gone. Back to white. Okay. I could say define what my heading tags look like. And let's say the font color, oops, it's just color, not font color. Color, let's make you red. Header tag's now red. Okay. Again, pretty straightforward. Point is we have a region here. We could also have a script tag where we could say window.onload equals function alert. Hi there. When I refresh, I get a pop-up. JavaScript's running, and then my page loads. Basically, kind of the point here is to talk about the different regions of your code. Tags have opening and closing tags. We have regions, we have different areas where things are going to be applied, and you will get all of this as we go throughout the semester. Basically, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick little HTML CSS demo. Again, if this is old hat for you, feel free to skip through this, but we have a nice little HTML web page where I could put whatever content I wanted here. How would we share that with other people? This is just on my computer. Well, I'd have to go to my Google Cloud Console, open up the virtual machine, upload it, move it to the correct directory, right? So, it's 10 minutes into this video-ish. Let's do that right quickly. Console. Repetition's usually a good thing, right? So let's go to our compute engine. Open up our instance. Okay, so this is the part where we're going to upload our test.html file to the server. I had a couple things pop up in between, that's why we have this awkward jump cut. But if you recall, we had our basic script up and running. Now we just want to upload it to our server. Again, this is rehashing old things. But what we're going to do is click the gear icon, upload file. We want to upload our test.html. We see that it is uploaded to our home directory. We do an ls. We see test.html here in our home. We want to do sudo mv test.html /var/www/html/dot. Now when we go to our web server, we are actually, well, you know what, let's click this one so I can show you HTTPS redirecting again. Yeah, it's actually going to take its time now that the web server is up and running. Close that, copy the IP address, new tab, just go directly there, and we want test.html. Hey there. Hello. Perfect. You might have noticed that my index page changed. I had to redo my virtual machine. Messed something up with the SSH server, which you probably saw an odd jump cut in one of the other videos. Again, if you screw something up with your server, you can stop it, delete it, and recreate a new one. It's not a big deal to do that. Just be aware anytime you do that, you will lose your files that you had up there. So make sure that you keep a local copy as well. Okay, hope this was helpful. See you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.